What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel, or for those returning, welcome back. I'm your host, Madison, and today we are going to be discussing a remarkably interesting topic. For those wondering why my video looks a little bit different, I am recording on my laptop. This video is for a video project for my college history class, Michigan History. And with that being about Michigan history, today's topic is about Prohibition. But to be specific, it's about Michigan's Prohibition. So sit, relax, and I hope you enjoy the video. Now, for those who are wondering why I'm talking about Michigan Prohibition or are asking a question, what is Michigan's Prohibition? And I would be truly kind as to let you know about the Prohibition that happened in Michigan. For anyone in the United States that remember when we were in U.S. history in high school and it came to the time that we learned about the Prohibition and how it started back in 1920, well, to be honest, Michigan started theirs earlier than that. Surprisingly, Michigan started their Prohibition back in 1918 and ended in 1933 with the rest of the United States. So, with that being said, due to the structure of the Prohibition, the people of Michigan had to find new ways to survive during this time. Due to its gangs, crime rates, new laws being created, corrupt laws, and the industrial industry. Now, without further ado, let's take a deeper dive into Michigan's Prohibition, shall we? So what started Michigan's Prohibition? That, my friend, is a good question. Michigan's Prohibition started because back in 1911, most of the state was already a dry state, and other counties in Michigan were already putting their own alcohol ban into effect. So a vote went into place in 1916 for a complete statewide ban on everything that dealt with alcohol, and that including the process of manufacturing all the way to selling any alcohol products.
This picture is what the people from churches and other organizations wanted to use to help coax people into voting yes on the ban of alcohol. But even though the voting was in 1916, the ban didn't go into effect until 1918, just months before our Congress decided to ratify the idea of the 18th Amendment.
So, during the years of Michigan's Prohibition, the crime rates went up, and the most famous known gang of Michigan, the Purple Gang, started causing trouble. Now, you may be asking this question, who is the Purple Gang? But before I go into who the Purple Gang is, let's talk about the crime rates. The crime rates were up the most during the time of the Prohibition because everything was driven underground. This means that if you weren't part of the industrial industry, then you had to find a new way of income to support both you and your family. That is where all the bootlegging and speakeasies came in. There were anywhere between 16,000 to 25,000 underground speakeasies during this time. But there was one person that was automatically sentenced to life in prison for allegedly selling alcohol. So the person that got a life lifetime sentence is none other than Etta Mae Miller. She was a 48-year-old woman and mother to 10 children. When Etta got arrested, she was put on arrest charges for allegedly selling 2 pints of homemade moonshine. So, when it came time for the jury to finally figure out what they were going to charge her with, it only took the jury that consisted of 8 men and 4 women only 13 minutes to find Ada guilty on the charge of selling 2 pints of liquor. Now, with that being Ada's 4th offense, it ended up with her having a life sentence at the Detroit House of Correction. And I want to show a picture of her right now.
Now, to answer the question about the famous known gang during the Michigan Prohibition, the Purple Gang is a Jewish American gang and was Detroit's notorious gang during the 1920s. Their role during the Prohibition was to hijack alcohol from Canada and distribute the alcohol to the speakeasies that were in Detroit. Even the famous gang mob Al Capone used the Purple Gang to distribute alcohol instead of going into gang war over Detroit's territory. The Purple Gang had control over the gambling, liquor, and the drug trade in all the speakeasies. The group was nearly invincible to law enforcement because the witnesses were terrified to even say anything against the group during the murder and criminal trials of when the Purple Gang got caught.
Now, let's talk about the industrial industries during the Prohibition. There were some positives and negatives to the Prohibition towards industries that were in full work effect. The jobs that were negatively affected were, of course, breweries, distilleries, and saloons. With this effect, it caused the elimination of thousands of jobs that hardworking people had to help bring in a living life. The positive side to the prohibition was that the workers weren't showing up drunk and alcohol wasn't influencing them to leave the women that the men were married to. But the people that were working on the floor in the industrial industries, like Ford Motors, General Motors, had a demand for alcohol that actually outweighed the sober life. With this happening, it made prohibition even more dangerous for the workers. Now, with that all being said and bringing us back to the beginning, that because of the structure of the prohibition, Michigan people looked into different ways of surviving due to, like I said, gangs, crime rates, new laws being created, corrupt laws, and the industrial industry. Well, hopefully this video helps you understand a little bit more about prohibition and mostly about Michigan's prohibition. If you want more videos like this, just let me know and I will try to get it out to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, I hope everyone has an amazing day and I'll see you in the next video.